Okay, welcome everybody to the special Board of Health meeting, Tuesday, June 6th, 2023. Time is now 5:06. And the inputs we did put it on Zoom and we'll be on YouTube. Okay, let's see. Paul Tarver,
Patrick McGovern, present.
Paul Tudor, present. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The health agent's resignation. Have you read through that, Kelly?
Yes.
You want to make a motion on it?
So I read the letter, got through the email. Juan sent his resignation effective June 8th, 2023. So I make a motion that we accept his resignation in writing. Thank him for his years of service to the town of Dayton, and go forward.
Okay, I'll second that. And vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, please. So, okay, I'd like to go a little while more. The health agent health agent job description.
Motion to go on board.
Right. Every motion go out of number 5 before.
Sure, yeah.
Motion, I second.
I make a motion to go out of order.
I second.
Aye.
I'd like to talk about the department manager job description. I think that's more important that we get that set in place before we jump to the health agent. Something that we're going to be working on, the budget approved for, and now we're losing the current health agent. I think that we should get out there so we can advertise to get the department manager and work on getting a health agent that can write grants and do all the things that we need to do without a rush. Try to just replace her right now. Comments?
I'm 50-50, it's still up in the air. I throw in here an idea of a job description for a manager. It still needs to be reviewed. I just kind of wanted to get a draft out there, so we can kind of see what's going on and see what the steps were gonna be. I kind of had a discussion with I always forget what are they called? I talked to a Cheryl today from the board of health agents.
Yeah.
I maybe I should get a hold of her before we're coming down here. My concern is with a health agent, like I want to get a health agent in place because my concern is, and I don't know, I do need to do a little bit more digging, a little bit more follow-up, but like are any of our grants or anything we have tied to having a health agent, and making sure that we keep that health agent in place. What's the best way to tackle this? Would we have issues with delaying filling the position, or obviously if we get the manager in place, they can play a vital role in getting this going, getting this qualifications figured out and helping us hire this person. I'm going back and forth. I mean, we worked a lot on getting this idea of this manager in place. But I'm wondering if we focus more on the health end of things, is it worth it to have a manager in place right away, or is it something that we can hold off on?
I'm thinking that we should do it right away, only because we've got everything, all the steps. If we can approve it tonight and present it to the town, the selectmen, we can start advertising tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't post this job description tomorrow. I need somebody else it needs to be reviewed. I literally just finished typing it today.
And I worked on also. Did you see that one?
Yeah, it's in the back. It's in the back of all the, not the backpack. After all the, go through that one.
This one here, town opposition.
Okay. I haven't seen this until now.
No, it's different than the one.
That's the one you sent me. No, you.
That's the one I wrote.
Yeah, that one. Was,
Underneath that head.
oh,
In order of topics, so let's go past.
like I said, I think that, we've talked about having a department manager to oversee everybody. And I agree, we might need a health agent to do grants and whatnot, but we're so far into this now that I'd like to get this advertised as soon as possible.
Okay, well, we can't, this can't be posted, it's not completed.
Can I speak on this?
Steve? I guess,
So I understand you wanting to get that done first. If anything, doing both at the same time, I would see would be better. I would look for the health agent first personally, because there's certain things, I wasn't able to print it out in the blueprint of what a health agent is going to be required to have, and soon it's going to be a requirement. And those are things that they, what are we calling it again? The department manager, these are qualifications that they are probably not gonna have. So we would wanna fill that first, to make sure that we're covered there, as well as that we're covered for, we worked so hard on the public excellence grant, it's just finally starting to become something. And we could almost lose our position in that if we're not having a strong board of health, a strong health department having what we should have.
right.
And that grant brought in a lot of money too, right?
I mean, we just got extra money foreseeing what we needed. So once that gets going, that's going to help us. But we also need to, they're not looking for communities that don't have a strong foundation. They don't wanna build our foundation, they want to be building off of what we have. And if we don't have a health agent, we don't have anything to build off of.
But, Jim, are you part of the health agent?
I am appointed as a health agent, yes.
So,
So I think the answer lies in between what everyone's saying. I think what we need to realize here is a couple things, and I know everybody in the room does, because we've all lived it for the past, some of us for years. The management of the department has gone awry. The people are not being served. And the health agent, regardless of who that person was, the health agent did not satisfy those management responsibilities. It failed miserably, which is why we're at where we're at today. So I think the answer lies in a hybrid approach to both. However, I think the vision of the health department needs to be clarified, because if we don't have a vision, every health department has a mission statement, but there are different ways that you can use to get to that point. We have to have a vision. Are we going to do it without a health agent? If not, and we want to have a health agent position, albeit part-time, then we need to hash that out and get those 2 job descriptions written and posted so that we can get this department moving in the right direction. Because right now, the way we stand as of Thursday of this week, we have no health agent, we have no management, we have 2 members of the Board of Health, hopefully 3 by the end of tonight, and a fairly fresh office manager who we don't want to overwhelm and end up filling another vacant spot. So we really need to figure this out.
So, I mean, we're kind of, I guess we're kind of talking about all of these agenda items in one. So I don't think that on the inspection side of the health department, I don't think we have an issue. I managed to talk to Jerry today, who you
Mr.
recommended,
Bernard, yes.
who was I learned today, was in Todd's position prior to Todd. He is now retired and able to do more, so he can cover inspectional side of things. So like as far as Title V's, as far as perk tests, as far as anything, we have that covered. My concern is the health end of things, the public excellence grants, the money coming in, the extra position. I think you mentioned the extra position that we'd be able to post for like a graduate or something with the public excellence grant or.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay, my apologies, scratch that. But like my fear is like the health end of things. things. And I think that to Jim's point, and hold on, just give me 2 seconds, is you're right, the leadership has failed as the Board of Health and the management structure has failed as the Board of Health. But I think that what's in that position failed. I wanna try to put something else in that position and see that succeed. And that's what I'm looking at, is that needs to be covered. It's been covered without a manager for a long time, not the greatest area, but if we find somebody that we can fit into that and post them, to Nicole's point, post them both together, but get that health agent position filled is my biggest concern. Because I don't wanna lose the grants, I don't wanna lose the money. I think we're more apt to lose stuff associated with our Board of Health by not filling that position than we are with not filling the manager position. Grants are gonna take forever. Grants are gonna take a long time writing. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
So that's my point. I don't want to offend anyone with this statement, but I've been here for a long time. The only grants I've seen come into the health department are grants for solid waste. So what grants are we missing out on?
We don't know, because we've never had a solid,
He's working on one now.
we need a solid person in that health agent position that's able to do these things.
So you're telling me the opportunity is there?
The opportunity's
Okay.
there.
We have an opportunity already
We
through
haven't
the public.
capitalized it.
We have an
Yes, I think
opportunity.
that we haven't capitalized a lot of things that we could.
Okay.
Our health agent was very environmental, and was kind of missing a certain aspect of health
Okay.
that we could tap into.
Jim, come Monday, we're not gonna have a health agent, you are health.
That is right, but I'm also the full-time building commissioner.
Right. Are you willing to step up and help?
I will do whatever I can and whatever it takes to
Yeah, this
help.
is a temporary position.
But that's a stopgap. That's not a solution.
No, it's
We
just,
keep using Jim as a crutch, and I don't know if it's completely
So-
fair to him
yeah,
or
so
to
what
the
if-
department.
So what if we have really, like, we know how we crafted and we developed the FY '24 budget, like, we all understand that. But I mean, we do have a grant, we're part of a consortium now. Frankly, thanks to a grant that I wrote for the health department, because we didn't wanna miss the boat in public health excellence, that we're part of a consortium now, that in FY '24, we're part of a 7-community consortium that has access to a $525,000 grant, that the funds are there, so when they're real, and probably within the next month, we're gonna be bringing, so like an intermunicipal, a proposed intermunicipal agreement, back to the Board of Health and Selectmen, so to enter into, so we can beef up and so we can supplement, like all of our inspections, all of our housing work and everything else. So, but to Nikki's point, in order to do that, we have to have a credible existing foundation. Like, I'm actually wondering, like, with Jerry, whatever his last name is, interested, Bernard,
Mr. Bernard, yes.
he's interested. I'm wondering, so if we have, or the board has the opportunity, so like, especially because at this point, like, because how the personnel and expenditures are broken down, so into the budget, we don't have a line in the expense budget in the P&T budget, to really have those more regular inspections actually performed with the resources that is gonna take. So I'm wondering, so if the board could have the opportunity to name actually Mr. Bernard, so if he's interested, like an interim health agent, so we do have like a stop-gap plan, so like in the next few weeks, so then as we go out, so into the future, we don't have to rush through, so all these job description processes at this point, because I think if we try to do that, we're gonna like destine ourselves up to, to continue the disaster we're trying to fix.
The problem with that, Mr. Mullen, is that Mr. Bernard's proposal to the board was as a contract worker, not an employee.
So we would need to reach out to him.
I don't know that he'd be interested in that. That was not the discussion that.
It's worth a
Yeah.
try.
and I know Nicole, you said that, before I went on, Jim, Jim has been a big help to us to organize, to get things online already. And if we use him temporarily, if he agrees to it, then we have a health agent come on in, a temporary, until we can get straightened out. If we wait, and this affects the grants, we're gonna be operating without any health agent at all.
Right, which is why I think we should push to fill the health agent first. And not the, by the time we post it, I mean, the manager's job description is not even completed. By the time we finish it, post it, interview, get the person on board, get them situated, get them seeing how things, we're looking at September, October before we start to turn around and look for a health agent, which is, I mean,
And how can we have a manager without a department?
when we
have
look,
Elizabeth.
when we look at the priorities of the Board of Health, what's our priority right now? Like, what's our priority one thing to cover? Like, what do we need, as a Board of Health, what's our number one value right now?
Service to customers,
Okay,
residents.
so if we, and we don't have to, service for what, like, I mean, we can cover the inspections. We need a health agent, somebody whose background is in health and
Well, you can't, Mr. Bernard, although he's a wonderful resource, is only going to fill one aspect of what's required for health department inspection.
which is why my thought is inspections are covered. We need to fill the health portion of the health department with somebody with a health background.
We have food inspections that come up quite frequently. Mr. Bernard's not gonna be able to help with those.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying is we can utilize him for the inspections that he can do. The septics, the parkas, that stuff that's covered. What we need is somebody that's qualified to cover the food inspections and the health end of things. And I mean, we literally just came out of one of the largest pandemics we've ever seen. You know, and I get that, and this isn't but I get that we're talking about the end of COVID, but DPH just sent in a team to a nursing home that launched the COVID issue to cover it because they have another outbreak. So we don't have a health agent in that spot.
So this is one of the issues, and I'm glad we're taking the time, when we have another half an hour, because there are a couple ways that you can approach the operations of the health department. You can do it in such a way that you use qualified, certified individuals who excel in whatever discipline it is that we need to inspect, which services the taxpayer, property owners, and the business owners. And then you have the other health aspect of it, which I'll admit I don't have a lot of background in, which is what you're referring to, which is a big part of the health department. But you're saying that would need to be filled by a health agent, which would be an employee of the town. That couldn't be filled by any per diem setup or contract setup or anything like that. So in order for the town to stay on the right side of grant opportunities, that person needs to be an employee of the town. Whatever, part-time, full-time, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't know that it has to be full-time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it has to be show that we're trying.
So that person, just to be clear, who need to be a registered sanitarian or equivalent eligible, and that person will need to have specific certifications for inspections performed, such as soil evaluator, system inspector, food inspector training, housing inspector training, certified pool operator, like a lead determinator. Those are really the functions of what the state looks for in a health agent.
Excuse me. Well, my understanding, when we met with people in between the state, the board, the Massachusetts board, there are no qualifications for a health agent.
Right.
Is that-
Statutorily, there are none.
No, with those certifications.
Right.
And of course, we're not gonna find somebody with all those certifications, but again, not to keep bringing up the public health excellence grant, but the public health excellence grant will help us have somebody that we can then train them. So we can use those funds, those monies to train somebody to be what we need them to be when we find somebody to be a health agent.
And going back to what you had just said, that why put a department head, a department manager, and when we only have we have Elizabeth, Well, if we were to have done that, if Mr. Thorne didn't quit, we'd still only have 2. And when he does quit, if he would quit after we had that, we would be looking at our department head to help us organize and find a health agent. So I think that we were planning on going with advertising to have a health agent, to have an office manager, a department head. And I think that department head would be great importance to us finding the proper health agent. And if Mr. Aguirre is willing to act as an agent until we can find one, I think it's a win-win situation, because we're gonna end up with a department manager and a health agent and an office manager. So our department head is just gonna be over 2 people anyways.
I do think that it's important to mention that the need for a department head was because we had obviously the need due to what was going on. We could potentially get a new health agent, that there's not a need for that. There's not a need for oversight, somebody that's able to do that on their own.
I think it's gonna be awful hard to get somebody to walk in the door and figure all that out and do what we need.
Not if they're coming from somewhere else. We're thinking of someone that's coming in green. They could potentially be someone that's a health agent for a number of years and knows what they're doing and has good leadership skills.
So I'm not discounting what you're saying at all, but everyone knows that it's a health agent's market right now. They're in demand. So what makes you think Dayton is going to be able to attract someone with those qualifications?
And 25 hours a week.
Yeah,
Well, that's why.
even at the 35 hours, I'll be honest, even at the 35 hours,
That's what they attracted me.
Mike, we're looking for good.
Okay, moving on. I think,
serious.
No, I thought of that as well, but I also think that it's worth a try. We can't just say, there's no way we're gonna find somebody, because we could say the same thing about the department head. Who wants to, what is it, 10 hours or what is it?
So one of the,
that?
so one of the issues that I've seen, because I've been part of this since day one, is that the health department had no clear and concise plan to fill the gaps created by the succession from the Board of Selectmen, who had all the resources available to them for not only what you're required to do statutorily, but also the budgetary requirements, the day-to-day management of staff members, just the routine servicing the public when they come into the building. There was never, ever a plan for that. And 5 years later, we're actually in worse
well, so
situation.
the problem is with that is, and I've had issues with that since I've started on this, because I've, and this is no offense to you,
Mhm.
and I just heard it from somebody else that is kind of made me aggravated to hear it,
Mhm.
is I 100% don't discredit anything you said, and I don't disagree with anything you said.
Yeah.
It makes me furious to see everything that this board has gone through, not just me, and I'm not defending anybody and I'm not discrediting anybody. This board has been nothing in 5 years. It had 3 chairmen in the past year. It's had complete and utter turnover from, realistically speaking, Todd's the only thing that hasn't changed in 5 years. And it has been mismanaged, I wouldn't say mismanaged, but it has been poorly run, to your point. It has had lack of supervision. When you look at all of the turnover, why is the turnover happening? Why did the turnover happen? And I think the turnover is, and I'll say it, I'll say it right now. I've thought a dozen plus times in the past 24 hours of writing my resignation to this board because of the fact that this board can't get out of its own way, and the selectmen, no offense to them or no better, of asking for results for the 5 years of mess ups that this board has had, when you have 2 members that are sitting here that haven't even been on the board for 6 months. We have a new office manager. We now lost our health agent. We've had 3 chairmen in the past year, and it's all brand new. So we really need to look at this Board of Health as January 1st of 2023, it's separated from the Board of Selectmen, because that's the only way to look at it and give this board a fresh start. I look at this as, yes, we had a problem with the health agent, and I'm 100% saying that I supported the fact of dividing the health agent's job with the manager, because I was very frustrated with day-to-day operations where no one was reporting to a structure. things were coming up and things were being emailed to me, and I said, well, who's supervising this? And the answer I got from everybody in this town was, I don't know, it's always been that way. And you know what, I've run multi-million-dollar departments that run better than that, it's ridiculous. You know, there's just no, to your point, Jim, and again, this frustration is not directed at you, I apologize if you
Bring
think
it on, bring it on.
But I think it's been poorly managed and there's no leadership, but there's no leadership because of what was in that position.
Yeah.
I don't wanna lose these grants, I don't wanna see another public health emergency come. We can cover inspections, we can cover certain things. I think we may be able, I think we're better off advertising the health agent job with no hours attached to it and see what we can get. And then if we can get somebody with a strong resume, forget the manager position for the time being, you know, and just put our baskets into somebody who can use Outlook on their phone. Like, you know, sorry, there are people that run departments that don't have Outlook on their phone, you know, and that, I couldn't believe that when I was told that.
Yeah.
So.
I think you're on par with everything you said, and I don't take your frustration personally. I share in your frustration, quite frankly, because I get all the phone calls for the past 5 years. That said, I would wish you luck in trying to find that person that would fill all those and check all those boxes. I don't think Dayton's gonna attract that person. I really don't.
Also, I do agree with everything you said. The only thing that I would like to add, part of the problem is our health agent would go beyond our department, would consult with us, wouldn't consult.
So just to be clear, like if we can refrain from any comments about a particular employee, that employee is not here.
No, but I think he's referring to what the position was
I'm
doing.
referring to the position.
Yeah.
But you were referring to the person in that position, and I just would strongly recommend that we don't do that.
I'm just saying the problems, like Patrick said, with the top, that when we have any employee that goes outside of our department and runs for somebody else, such as a town administrator, and then that person gets involved, Patrick's working on something, I'm working on something, we're not even put in the loop, we get surprised, that's where a lot of our frustration comes from. And it would be a totally different story if we did have a department head and we control the department. And as I've asked, I don't know what's gonna come through, I mentioned to you, Nicole, about I've asked Peter, if you guys would consider having you be the liaison between the health department and the board of selectmen. And I think that would work. And there are valid things that you have to say about having a health agent. And I agree that we should have some, but we're so limited on, it's such a small department, people got vacation time. What if the department of the health agent decides to take a week off? Then what do we do? At least if we have a department head that knows that can help us find the proper agent until we can get it. Jim's willing to help us find that person, or both people. I think that that's the way to go, that we need to not go backwards, move on. We've come a long ways. And we've come up with all this plan, we've had the money set aside, we've cut the hours. If we were to have a $35 position a week for a health agent, I think that we're really open for a lawsuit, because we just had a health agent quit because his hours were gonna get cut down to 25 hours. And now we advertise for 35. You could get a lawyer and say, hey, they made me quit because I only get 25 hours. And now they're hiring somebody else to replace me, but they give them the 35. And I strongly recommend we don't go backwards. I'd like to move forward, we don't have to make it temporary, I mean permanent right now. But I do believe come Monday morning, we need a health agent. We can't go and wait 3 weeks till September. And Mr. Aguirre is willing to help us out with that. I think that we should not take advantage of him, but take the opportunity so that we can have a health agent.
Right, but we need to, the problem is A, we have a department head, they can answer to us, so we can build structure. B, if Jim's willing to step up and help, that's awesome, but that's a short time thing, because I wouldn't want to put that on Jim. So
No, right.
the goal should be to replace that services that Jim is doing with a health agent.
Yeah, I honestly think from the outside looking in, who's been successful running my department, the answer for your department is a hybrid solution. It's using per diem qualified individuals for their respective disciplines and finding someone on a part-time basis to fill the gaps with the health-related requirements. I don't think Dayton can afford to attract someone with the salaries that we can pay to check all the boxes on all those things and hit all the targets that Administrator Mullen just dictated to us, including the budgetary side of things, which your board has done a great job, and maybe we'll get a third member who has more budgetary experience, but the budgetary part of this is very complex, and it needs to be controlled, especially with what's on the horizon 2, 3, 4 years from now. So I think it's a great idea. I don't think Dayton has the resources to attract someone in today's work environment where a health agent basically can pick whatever town they want to work for. They're not gonna pick Dayton, who has all those qualifications. I think doing a hybrid approach like I've done in my department, where I spread it out over a half a dozen different people who excel in each of their disciplines, is a more resourceful approach. It takes care of the taxpayers almost immediately. There's no delay in our response time. The only question that I have is whether or not the hybrid approach at a reduced hourly allowance will attract someone who's interested, who has the health-related background that you're referring to.
How many hours are you talking about?
Well, I think you've already voted for
It was
25 hours, right?
Right.
I think you'll probably find someone who maybe has, who works in a couple different towns, or a retiree, someone who's maybe in the health field, who's semi-retired or retired and wants to fill the gap. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I have no problem coming back on camera saying I was wrong, but that's my professional opinion.
And again, maybe I'm gonna repeat myself. I don't wanna move backwards. This guy hasn't been a big help, he hasn't got any increase in pay, and he's been responsible to help get the department straightened out quite a bit in the last couple of months. And I think that a department head can help us find the right health agent, more than the health agent's gonna help us find a department head. We need somebody to be, we can advertise for both, but in the interim, this is all a surprise to me tonight. As far as I'm concerned, we've been moving forward with, we're going to wait until we get the money appropriated, and then we're gonna advertise for a department head. And now all of a sudden, everything's going backwards.
Well, only because things have changed, because we lost our health agent, so now that took priority. I mean, we're not trying to put the other thing on the back burner, but if we wanna do both at once, but I feel strongly about advertising for a health agent and trying to fill that. And I know you feel strongly about the other one, so why not both?
We could do both, but I think that having somebody that can help us fulfill and get a decent health agent.
But who's to say we're gonna get a department head that fast? We keep talking about that we might find this amazing person just come out of thin air, but who knows, maybe that's a hard thing too.
Yeah,
It could be hard.
I appreciate the kind words about helping out and being unpaid and all that. I did it because I wanted to, and I'll continue to do it as long as I want to. So don't worry about it, I'm here to help. However, I think Ms. Mello's recommendation is a good one. If you advertise both positions simultaneously, then you have the opportunity to have applicants for each one, and you might have an applicant that applies for both. So you might find that one person, you don't know. But you would never have the opportunity if you did them separately. So I think doing it together is a good way for us to get the best candidates for each position, and maybe you'll get a candidate to apply for both.
And I see what he's saying about things have changed. However, I still think that we don't wanna run a department with just office manager and a health agent. I think there should be a third person.
There needs to be a supervisor. There needs to be a supervisor.
So I just wanna be clear though, also, like, I mean, with this approach, with this posting two at once and interviewing for both at once, there are other small towns, actually the predominant, some other small towns that health agent is a department head. So there is a practice of that, and there's a practice of that working. So I just wanna throw that out there, that's important.
Yeah, and I think that's the benefit to Nicole's point, is posting them together. I think we haven't been going backwards. I think we had a speed bump with what happened with the resignation. But I think moving forward, maybe we do just continue what we've been talking about and go forward and posting things. I mean, by the time things get posted, it's gonna be July. I mean, the manager job description's not finished. You know, I've done everything I can on both job descriptions, and I've emailed them out and asked for feedback. And honestly, the only feedback I got was Todd's.
Right.
And I've been sending these out for the past 3 months, and he was the only person that gave me feedback to help me on the job description. So we have one job description that's not completed, that I have input from no one as far as considerations for certifications, you know, what they should be doing, what they should be reporting to. So, I mean, we still need to finish that. These still need to be finished, and maybe we should post them at the same time and see what we get.
No, I agree, and it would be better if we had a third person on the board.
Which we're doing tonight.
Right, and I appreciate you sending all those out and doing all that work. However, well, I may not have been responding to that, I've been responding to every day-to-day operation, things that need to come in, get signed, and I'm putting in a lot of time into that also.
No,
And you're putting a lot
I'm
of
not
time.
disagreeing with anything that you've done or that I know you do a ton of work, and I'm not taking any credit away from that. I'm just saying that we're talking about, at the beginning of this whole discussion was to post a manager position when the job description is not even completed. So what we need to do is we need to finish both job descriptions and post them both at the same time. And to the point of maybe we will attract somebody that would put in for both, or maybe we would and to Jim's point is, maybe there are no candidates out there, but
Then we might find that out.
I don't wanna hire a manager and then wait a year to get a health agent on board. And in the meantime, we're losing that we can hire a manager who's an awesome admin, but is horrible with grants, and we can get a part-time person that's good with grants and have somebody oversee the department, and maybe just put them out there at the same time and see what we get.
No,
You know, and
I don't have a problem putting them all.
You're also advertising 2 part-time positions, so you might not get a lot of interest if somebody sees 10 hours or 25 hours, but if they look and say, well, potentially get 35 hours a week, you'll get more candidates.
Right, but that keeps us limited to, we're gonna have one person we can't have a health agent. We can't have health agent also be a department head, because he's gonna be his own boss.
But then in other towns, that's how some of them work. We haven't had the opportunity because we haven't had somebody that could do that yet. Not
Right.
saying that I don't want a department head that's separated, I'm just saying, we don't wanna throw that completely out the window just because we've never had that, or it couldn't be a possibility for us before.
I mean, there are plenty of people that are their own boss in their own departments, and that's why the Board of Health exists, and that's why we have a department head, and that's why we have a chairman. Is we oversee it, if it works, that there's somebody that can cover, that's smart enough to do both, and not that, we may not attract them, but we may, you never know. I mean, I might win Powerball, but, you know, I think we have to give it a try. I think by putting one out there over the other, I think we're losing a boatload of potential candidates.
I still think there should be separate.
We can separate
You
them.
know, if somebody wants both, they can apply to both.
That's what we've been saying, if we post them both separately as 2 separate positions.
Right.
And if somebody says, I can do both, and puts in for both, and we interview them and they knock it out of the park, then we can appoint that one person.
Right, the other thing I would strongly recommend is not moving away from having other per diem assets at your availability. Because the whole cusp of this is to serve the public. We haven't been doing that. To your point about the vacation time and everything, we'll be back in that, irregardless of who we hire, because there'll be some benefited time that's for maybe for both positions, but at least for one. So you need to have your per diem arsenal at your disposal so that we can fill the gaps in the event. We try to do that, but the person we have covering right now works full-time, so they're not available until late in the day. And the system, or actually the lack of system, for letting people know that an inspection took place was non-existent. So we need to work on all of that. But I would strongly recommend that if it's one person or two persons that fill these positions, we still have that part of the department expanded so that we can make sure that we serve the people appropriately.
I 100% still think that certain inspections that we're talking, that we asked you to build a list for, that you guys did an awesome job and got that. I still think that's 100% in play, no matter what these two jobs
Yeah.
bring in. I 100% think that, because you're right, to your point on that, you're not gonna get somebody that can do all of the inspections and all of the health. You're not gonna get that candidate, but
And if we already had this in play, like what you're talking about, we wouldn't have be in the position we are now.
Exactly.
So I mean,
Right.
that is important to continue down that road and get
yeah,
that set up.
I 100%, and I appreciate you doing that work. I think that needs to stay, and I've always agreed with the fact that the taxpayer shouldn't pay for that person to do the Title V. It should be the homeowner that pays for it through recouping money, however. Like that's how it should have been run for years.
Right. All right, so I think we're on track. We just, I think everyone wants the best for the health department, and they want the health department to have longevity. It's just, we got off to a little bit of a rocky start an hour ago.
Yes, we did. And as Patrick mentioned, he's thought about it a lot the last 24 hours of giving his resignation. The thoughts come through my mind too.
I'm sure they have.
I told McCann, I told her that I put my heart and soul in this, and I know there was a change, but we got resignation, but we still should move forward for the goal that we wanted to end up with, which would be a department head, overseeing, and having a health agent. And that part didn't change. And now everything, I agree we can do them together. But if it's gonna be, well, no, all of a sudden, we're gonna just have a health agent and an office manager, quite frankly, like, you don't need me, you don't need Patrick, we might as well just resign, and you can do it. You don't need us.
Anyway, I really don't know how that's relevant, but go ahead.
Well, it's relevant in the fact that we're being open with you, the frustration that we're getting from this board, from things just all of a sudden changing without us being notified.
And what do I have to do?
I think we're getting off.
That doesn't make sense.
It's
that's
not
not-
the topic, and I
that's
understand it's an important one because it's a
All right,
cause of my
you're right,
frustration.
it was
We have
gonna
10
be-
minutes to go, so I think we need to move forward to Paul's point. We need to keep the track going that we've decided on over the past 6 months. And I think that we need to post the Board of Health position and the manager position, see what we get, and we'll go from there, fill both those spots, get them both filled, continue this going. Jim said he doesn't mind helping out, and big thanks again to Jim for helping out as always, and we'll make sure things run. We have the third-party inspections lined up as needed.
Is it unreasonable to give a post date, like a date that you guys have in mind? Because I know you say you have a job description that you haven't got any feedback on, but sometimes when you give a date for something, it's gonna
I
kick
agree with
everyone else up.
We talked about the next budget year, and we've submitted our budget, we have everything with our budget.
Let me ask.
I don't think it's unreasonable to post it by the end of June. That might be quick, but I think the end of the month it should be posted.
I believe you guys can even have they can have a workshop, right, to work on it, on the job descriptions, like, does everything?
Yeah, I think now that, I'm sorry to interrupt, I think now that we have a concise path, I think the job description is gonna be easy to sort out, I really, really do. So, they're gonna be two job descriptions, one's gonna be more health oriented, one's gonna be supervisory oriented. One will include the budgetary requirements, things, the staff management, things like that. I'm sorry if I missed that, because I was having another conversation. You have one more meeting before the end of the month, right? So I see no reason why those job descriptions can't get approved at the next meeting. And then
Well, that
because,
was, well, my suggestion was gonna be, Nicole, like your input. Seeing how we'll be doing interviews in 10 minutes, chances are before our next meeting, we will have a 3-member board. And maybe this should be tabled tonight, we've talked about it, and then we can make some final decisions when we have a 3-man board, 3-person board.
What are we
And-
tabling?
and, well, the job descriptions.
Oh, okay,
We're not
good.
posting it tonight, they still
Yes,
have to.
okay, I get what
So
you're
technically,
saying.
technically, we're tabling until next.
And then to
Yeah,
the
we'll table
close,
to the next meeting, and hopefully we're gonna have a 3rd member on the board for the next meeting.
Yeah. and then to the close point, you could have a workshop before the next meeting, which is on, what's the date of the next meeting?
June 20th.
We might be able to squeeze in a workshop, one workshop in between to hash this all out, especially
But when
when,
it's something unreasonable,
hopefully you get a 3rd member tonight.
that's not
No.
fair.
How are we gonna operate a,
So I,
how are we gonna operate that? Repeat what you just said.
so I'm willing to, I know I said earlier that, don't worry about the money and all that, but, I don't have this thing, on my forehead that says just use me, use me, use me.
Right.
I'm willing, if you're willing to accept an offer, I'm willing to run the department to make sure that the daily responsibilities are taken care of, the per diem inspections are done, the plans get, reviewed and approved as needed. But I'll have to be paid a stipend until the positions are filled.
Yeah. That, I think we'll have to bring it to selectmen.
I don't know, do you know the process of that?
So, yeah, so what I would recommend, because of everything that Mr. Aguirre just mentioned, and also for the sake of the continuity, and to show that we have continuity at this point, I would recommend, in this interim, that the board do, name Jim also the interim health agent. With a stipend to be, negotiated. Because of we're at the 11th and a half hour in the fiscal year, that stipend we definitely will, actually need to go for a transfer to fund that, but honestly, I think that's only fair to Jim. We're asking Jim to step up, he has agreed to. And, that is something in my view, that's unanticipated and that rises to the need to, actually make that commitment and go to that level, because it's just fair.
And that takes a little pressure off. I still would focus on getting those job descriptions ironed out by the next meeting. And then once it gets posted, you're not in so much of a rush to get the position filled. We can cover the bases in the interim. I'm sure there'll be gaps with the excellent grant, but we can discuss that.
Mhm.
But we're talking about a month or two away tops.
I mean, the job description can be fine, I can take what Paul suggested and kind of merge the two of them and, we can do it, we can get a workshop up, we'll get it going, it's fine, we'll get it done, we'll get it completed. I mean, the negotiation as far as that's concerned, we can talk about that as long as you're okay with holding off, I mean, good, moving forward, but holding off on that till we can figure out what the process is at the 11th hour.
Yeah, and I don't mind, come Monday morning, I'm not gonna say, sorry, I'm not here because you're not paying me. I'm gonna step up and do whatever's needed. We can figure that all out after.
Right, well, we can, put that into place soon. When you transfer money, we're gonna be saving money because we're not paying the health agent.
Right.
So could we transfer money?
Well, we do have accrued vacation time and so forth also, so yes.
That's gonna go way over and above what this pay would be. And that was not in our budget. That comes under the town's employment.
No, that's an obligation that needs to be funded out of the health department budget. So that's why I'm talking about the need for a transfer now to do all of this.
So we should have put in our budget that anything that we're gonna have to do, that's already this year, we've had office manager leave, that must have had to take her, take that out of our budget. That made our budget, must have made our budget.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it gets
okay,
fit
well,
with regards to the breakage and the time, the gap in time that we had until we hired the new office manager, so that has all worked out, but because now, so we're at the tail end of the fiscal year and we know what we have to pay out for accrued vacation time. Yeah, we will have an obligation there that will bring us close, so I don't want that obligation to interfere, so with the ability to fairly provide Jim a stipend.
And don't forget, this isn't just about Jim, we also need to do inspections from now until the
Yes.
end of the fiscal year.
Yes.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think by the 20th, there'll be a number that will have to go on the agenda for the Board of Health, so they request a transfer.
Yes.
correct? Okay.
One last question, Mr. Hall. Talking about the workshop, how would the workshop work?
I don't know, I was asking if you guys could even do one, could they for, so.
As long as they were willing to do, to meet.
Well, if we meet, it's gonna have to be a public meeting.
Yes.
Oh, you still have to post it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the workshop.
Yeah, but
will
it's,
be a
yeah,
public
it's just a workshop, just slightly less formal, that's all. If the chair allows, you're slightly less formal,
meeting. Right.
you know?
Yeah, technically.
Did you get hold of them before we have this? We don't have to do this.
Yeah, we're not gonna, definitely.
Alright, so you want to make a motion on, we're gonna table this until next meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we don't, technically, we didn't make any decisions based on the job descriptions. So
I think you can just request it to be on the next meeting.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
we'll just, the fee structure, we'll talk about on the 20th, we'll put that on the next month's agenda, or the next meeting's agenda.
Okay.
So, I make a motion to, can we make a motion to pause the meeting? Is that
Take a break.
Recess.
recess?
Yeah,
Make a motion to take a recess until 5-minute recess.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
1 second, Elizabeth, you can pause it.
Selectman Hall, how are you?
Okay.
Make a motion to resume the meeting, move on with our scheduling of these.
I second.
Yes.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Yes, open your meeting.
Yes, we are. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay, this is the Town of Dayton Board of Health / Board of Selectmen joint meeting. We are at Council on Aging Primetime Building, 1059 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Mass. 02715. Today is Tuesday, June 6, 2023. This meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This is a joint Zoom meeting at meeting ID 893-0121-5860, passcode 459184. Or you can dial by your location to 1-309-205-3325. Call to order, please.
Ms. Hall is present.
Nicole Mello, present.
And Peter Karen present. Can we please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joey, you're up first. That could be good or bad, I don't know. You guys like to start?
Just one second.
Sure, take your time.
This is safe.
We'll go on here on this.
You want to go along?
Yeah. Alright. You wanna come up, you wanna sit there?
Wherever you like me.
Okay. Sure, Mom. Why do you want to be a member of the board of health?
I want to be part of our community, I want to give back, I want to help the residents. I want to be a part.
Have you ever sat on any of the boards?
No.
So what do you think, excuse me, what do you see as the issues facing the Board of Health currently?
From my point of view as a Title V inspector, I feel that the biggest thing I think that is lacking right now for my position is permitting online. I think that that would save the Board of Health a lot of manpower hours in the office if we could just go online and pull permits that way. I know Easton does that, it works really well for them, a lot of other towns are using a program called Permit Eyes, that you log in, you have an account. I know that the building department does that already, right?
Yes.
So I think that would be good for the health.
Okay, number 3. As indicated in the job description position, the responsibility as a member of a 3-member person board to provide leadership, policy direction to the Board of Health staff, describe your leadership philosophy, and this philosophy will inform your approach and addressing issues facing the Board of Health. Do you agree?
It's my leadership philosophy. I've worked in management before, and I think dealing with the individual rather than the whole group is a lot more effective.
How would you mean to do this every group?
Just one-on-one to the person, like handling their issues individually rather than handling everybody the same. Each issue is different, giving each person their own personal attention, I guess is what I mean.
I didn't know you meant individual board members.
I guess I didn't mean
No,
that.
I just put it
I meant the community, I guess.
So please tell us about yourself, work experience, education, how you feel this has prepared you for your position for the Board of Health.
I started working when I was 14, so I've been working a very long time. I learned from a janitor all about hard work and not being, learning the first time, and not having to redo things. Asking questions is a big thing if you don't understand things. I think that's good. But I've done a variety of jobs. I've also been a military wife. I've traveled the country. I was a mayor in our housing area, so I've organized things for the community. I was a coordinator for home health care in an office in Augusta, Maine. I was responsible for Kennebec County. Something that was asked of me at the last interview was if I had any experience with budgeting. And I was a little nervous then, so it didn't come to my mind, but as a member of that team, I did have budget meetings once a month, and I was responsible for like I said, Kennebec County and Maine, and all of the billing and everything that goes along with handling the care. Also, as a restaurant manager, I think I have a lot of experience with food safety on that side, and I'm only 5 hours shy of a CNA. I'm a home health aide. Where I trained in Attleboro, they didn't teach the children's part of the CNA program, so that's just a class I would have to take. And I'm a Title V inspector. I've had 4 years inspecting septic systems and learning all about, I just took a soils class. I gave them the completion certificate since my last interview.
Okay. Do you have any experience working for a board, preparing agendas, meetings, meeting minutes, documents, or review? I think you just answered that question.
Yeah, no, I haven't had that experience yet, but
Oh, as a minister, you're a mayor.
well, yeah, I was a mayor of our housing area. We had 200 families, so I was a mayor of that military family, yeah. But I'm eager to learn, and I work really well with other people and follow directions well, so.
Yep, I'm gonna skip 6 because we just talked about budgeting. So move on to 7. Please describe any past experiences you have working with a local board of health and or Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
I work with many boards of health doing inspections. I know several board of health agents in the area. I guess that's the
Sounds like a Title V.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, please describe your experience with Title V septic systems, and if you hold or previously held a license such as inspector or support.
I am a state licensed Title V inspector. I've been that for over 3 years now. About 100 inspections, I'd say, in that time. I feel really confident.
Where do you do a lot of the inspections?
Oh gosh, I do Lakeville, Hanson, I've been to Sharon. There's so many, Swansea, Rehoboth, Dayton, Taunton.
So this position requires fair and unbiased application of public health statutes, regulations, policies, and town bylaws. Enforcement may become a problem with some restaurants, homeowners, and businesses. What do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents who you do not agree with? Or who do not agree with you, sir?
I think that if you have the facts with you and the laws with you and you communicate well with people, then you should be able to handle that. I'm pretty good with people and I have no problem stating facts and laws and being prepared.
Okay, although extremely individual appointed to the board of health member must make commitment to be available for emergencies and other circumstances that require their prompt attention. Do you feel there's enough flexibility in your schedule to be able to meet this commitment?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, excuse me. There are many facets of public health that are outlined in the job description that require a basic understanding of food protection, public health, emergency preparedness, community sanitation, minimum housing standards, animal control, stormwater, landfill management, swimming pools, and septic systems. Please describe any experience or training you have, or certificates you have now or hold in the past. I know you mentioned Title V stuff.
Yeah, and being a home health aide, I have that. I've had the Serve Safe course in Maine. I was trained as a bartender, so I took all those classes. I managed restaurants. I think where I might be lacking, which I would be looking for direction, would be the stormwater and the wastewater plant and that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what do you see as the issues facing the board of health?
Right now, it just seems like there's a lot of upheaval. It seems, I mean, this is my third interview for the third seat that has come available in a very short time, so I would like to offer stability to the position.
As indicated in the job description, the position is responsible as a 3-member person board to the board of health staff. Describe your leadership philosophy and how this philosophy informs your approach in addressing the issues that face the board of health.
Working as a team, I guess is a good idea, not an individual, not playing favorites. Being fair, unbiased.
Let's get started with this one. Do you have any management and budgeting experience?
The budgeting
I
was,
think we already talked
yeah,
about
I think we did, yeah.
Satisfied with that?
Yeah, we've talked about that.
And you know a lot, you did that.
Yeah, no, I've managed restaurants, I've hired, fired, I've done all that, scheduling, all that work.
Do you have any questions for us?
What do you think the biggest challenge is in the board right now?
Honestly, I don't think that.
You're not quitting if you get it.
Right, exactly.
I think we need to fill the third spot. I think we need some stability. I think we need to, there's been a lot in 5 years with the board of health separation. I think we need stability so we can move forward.
I feel like, one thing that I may have that the others don't is, I don't know everybody like everybody else does. I've only lived in this town for 4 years. So somebody might walk in the office that might be, in somebody else's eyes, the most important person in town, but I wouldn't know that. So I would be treating them the same as somebody else. you know, so.
Yeah. Fair. Anyone else? I'm all set.
Renee, do you have any questions?
Absolutely. Have a couple. Regards to wastewater, was this your first experience with a course in wastewater management?
No, I'm a licensed Title V inspector as well, so I took that class like 3.5 years ago, I think, 3 years ago in Springfield.
Do you see any similarities between what you've experienced and its role in working with stormwater?
I'm not really sure how those would go together. I'm eager to learn more about that part of the job, the stormwater part. I don't have a lot of knowledge about that right now. I know it's part of the position, and I would hope that there would be some direction so that I could handle that the right way.
The other question, I looked at your resume, and one area that I see is really important, especially with the many delays that we've had and upset developers and homeowners in regards to Title V.
Mhm.
And I have one question in regards to that, because I'm aware that you have a Title V inspection business in the town of Dayton.
Yes, I do.
If you are appointed, would you be amenable to following the guidelines established by the Massachusetts Ethics Commission in regards to conflict of interest laws and your business?
Yes, I understand that I would not be able to conduct Title V inspections in Dayton.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Nicole, do you have any questions?
Now, does your husband do,
Yeah, he's the septic installer, among other things.
now, I think that would come under conflict of interest also.
It doesn't, because when I do a Title V inspection, if they fail and the homeowner wants an installer, I tell them that they can have my husband's name on a list of 4 other people from the area, and that's what I will present to them. I play by the rules.
No, I'm just not sure, but, if you can't do Title V's in Dayton,
Mhm.
I don't know how that would play in with your husband doing septic system.
No.
I don't think it
just,
would.
I think she just had to abstain if she was involved in any vote taking, if it involved the system that he was working on. That's all.
That's what I was unsure of that.
His business is separate from mine.
Okay.
Joanne?
Yes.
You got an impressive resume.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming for a third time. I don't
Thank
even
you.
think I could come for a
They say
third
it's a
time.
charm.
Possibly, sure. The Board of Health has been not the board, the health department has been in turmoil for several months. And I know you want to work for the town and give something back. Why would you really want to come to a board that is in need of reorganization?
To help.
Yes.
I've always been pretty good at finding solutions or
Sure.
finding a better way to handle things or do things. And I'm eager to work with the team and make things run smoothly and find a way to keep it going that way, you know, for.
Sure. There's the easier things to do. So that's why I wonder why you would want to do something like this. Like I said, I understand that you want to help and
I know it's
give
kind of
something back.
strange to hear, but I enjoy my business of inspecting septic systems
Okay.
and looking out for the environment and for the health and safety of our community.
Yeah.
And I think I could bring that to the position of the board
Sure.
and
Why do you think we should hire you over somebody else who has equal?
I'm eager.
Okay,
I'm
Sure, that's
loyal,
important.
I'm willing to stick it out for the long haul.
great. Okay. Mr. Hall has another question, he said.
In regards to this question about ethics, Tom Dayton has 2 individuals who usually handle inquiries.
Mhm.
Mr. Mullin and Town Clerk Mike Pacheco. That works not just complaints, but if you have questions
Right.
about what is the correct thing to do,
Mhm.
you go to them. If they don't have the answer, they will contact the state
Mhm.
and we'll get a definitive answer. So I'm comfortable as long as you're open, working with those 2 gentlemen. It
Yes.
won't be a problem.
Thank
This job is probably gonna be 90% learning
Mhm.
and 10% bringing what you know,
Okay.
which is a great conversation.
excited
because
about that.
You do have that excitement in you. And I want to thank you for coming today. I don't think the Board of Health, I don't think the three selectmen have any more questions for you. So unless the Board of Health has anything else that they would like to add. Dwayne, thank you for
Thank
coming,
you.
like I said, a third time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Hey, Paul and Patrick, question number 12 and 14 are repeats, Stephen, so just
Thank
cross
you.
it out.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay, I was like, I don't wanna keep hearing those.
Take care of yourself.
As much as fun as it is.
I'm saying 12 and 14, isn't it?
Yeah, 12 and 14 are, on the front already, so you can cross them out on the back.
If you guys want to discuss her qualifications and what you think before we get 10 minutes before the next person comes in, I think we really should make a decision this evening instead of repeating another meeting just to discuss it. So if we have a chance, why don't we take a little bit of time and think of your feelings of her. This is the first time she's been here. The second time for me with her, I thought she was a great candidate and would have almost given it to her if there were a couple others, yourselves included, that had just a little bit more qualifications than what she had. But she's got some great Title V of her resume. And I don't know what your guys' feelings are.
I had a question about soils, is that something that everyone that's Title V does, or is this a step, has nothing to do with Title V?
No, it does.
Oh, it does?
Did she pass in a soil evaluator?
Yeah, she did, I just
Did she
remember.
pass, did she pass it?
Yes,
Okay, no, that's right in line with Title V. What that means is that in the absence of the health agent, if she were a member of the Board of Health and I was not available, she could witness perk tests as a soil evaluator.
oh, okay.
So it's very important. I don't know if you look for my opinion, but I think she did great. I think she's excelled each time she's come in.
She certainly
The
has.
fact that she obtained her soil evaluation certification since the last time tells me that she's in this profession for the long haul. That's not an easy test to pass, I've taken it, so good for her.
Yes, sir.
Listening to her interview and her work with wastewater, I'm going to quote someone who's looking for someone to be her protege and maybe take on after Nancy Goulart decides to give up being the stormwater queen. That's why the inquiry, and she seemed to express an interest to learn. And there will definitely be, in the future, a need for somebody to fill in for the job that Nancy has done.
Chairman,
Yes.
when I hear wastewater, I'm thinking about Surge Street, but
Yeah, that's exactly what wastewater refers to. Yeah, stormwater is
it's
different.
not wastewater, no, that's storm.
No, stormwater.
Are there any similarities?
Wastewater is actually the treatment of sewage and effluent. Stormwater is the treatment of rainwater.
Just natural,
Natural,
but
right.
doesn't involve the other?
No,
No.
you can if you are in a municipality and your sewage treatment plant also processes stormwater, then there are some overlaps.
Okay,
But it's only in large municipalities that you have that mixed.
okay.
In a town like this, we don't have any sewage treatment. Everything is done private. The sewage that we have goes to another municipality, so we have no treatment. So wastewater certifications, as of right now, are not required.
And also, we're not sure how long we're gonna be overseeing the stormwater anyways.
You're all of us, sir?
We're gonna be overseeing the stormwater.
Mike, do you have any comments?
When what's to happen, the bylaw needs to change, so.
Okay.
Again, we have to, the bylaw would have to change, and also we need to have a plan about how the town is gonna deal with it, because it is a federally so required and mandated, law and requirement that we need to follow, so.
Stormwater will always exist, I'm just not sure it's gonna
To what
stay with the
extent?
Board of Health.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, if you do a a search statewide, you'll see that it's predominantly outside of the Board of Health. And, but I think she did great.
I think so, good. Without having stormwater underneath the Board of Health, that would prevent us having to pay to have somebody come in and take out health agent and say, okay, you're gonna come with us. We lose a lot for that. We lose a lot to conservation. We lose a lot to stormwater. We lose a lot to training meetings. And we lose a lot to inspections. And that gives us very, very little time for the person that we're paying to actually do a job.
But your health agent doesn't have to be an engineer either.
No,
So you could go in a totally different direction and then have to find someone to fill that for you down the road.
I think we're gonna have a job description by the next Board of Health meeting.
Think so?
Yeah.
When's the next meeting?
20th, right?
20th?
The health agent,
Okay.
yeah, correct.
or both.
Well, yeah, but,
Department head and-
right, but I know Mr. Hall's been working on that for a long time, so finally gonna have that.
Thank you.
So Richard Gunther is coming in at 6:30? Great, he should be there in a minute.
I'll just see if he's outside.
Yes.
Who is it?
Thank
I
you.
don't know.
Yes. You wear it too.
Just let us know that you were here. The bell.
Yeah, I know, that's interesting.
Hi, Richard. Have a seat, sir, if you want.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
I'm the chairman of the Board of Health, we'll be right back. And then we'll-
Okay, very good then.
Thank you.
How are you tonight, Ray?
Doing well.
Yeah, is it raining out still, or?
It's on again, off again,
Yeah.
a little spritz here and there.
Right?
More the Canadian smoke is the.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Well, if you're smelling all of that smoke,
Right.
because I was up in Boston and you see the haze, you smell the smoke and go, man, these
Wow.
Canadians, it's bad up there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, it's already 8.1 million acres is burned.
Yeah.
And they have something like 400 wildfires, 300 of which are still out of control throughout the entire country. So
Yeah,
it's bad up there.
sure.
So we have the air quality alerts.
Yes, definitely. Now, somebody said it's going to rain out for the next 3 days, is that true?
It's on again, off again. It's with this backward cold front and a low pressure system spinning off the Atlantic, just bringing in that cold air.
Yeah.
Again, it's on again, off again.
Right.
What you see is what you got.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see. Summer or springtime, late spring in New England.
Yes. It's all right, we usually skip spring and just jump right into summer.
Yeah, because that's what will happen. Next Monday, it'll be 95 degrees.
Right.
And it'll stay that way until September.
Right. That's all right, if you like the heat.
I like the heat. I like my seasons. I like my transitions.
Yeah. It makes it New England interesting.
Well, no, you just never know what you, it's just never know
Well,
what
my
you-
son lives in Florida, it's just hot all the time.
Yeah, see, that gets, one kind of weather gets boring after a while. I do like my seasons. I do winter sports and skiing and snowshoeing. I like the summertime stuff too.
Sure.
It's a variety with the kids and everything
Yeah.
else, so.
The only good thing about that is, well, Florida or somewhere down south is it's green all the time. You don't
Right.
have the dead trees in the dark of winter.
But there's, it's like a Robert Frost poem, though, right? Stopping by the woods on a snowy
Sure.
evening kind of a thing.
Yeah.
There's a dynamic there. And I always kind of like that too. That dead silence in the middle of winter time, especially when the snow's come down a little bit. It's very zen. It's very
Okay.
calming. I like that.
Great. This is the Board of Health, and we got a Board of Selectmen here.
Oh, no. Rich Gunther, nice to meet you. Rich Gunther? Sure.
Why do you wanna be a member of the Board of Health?
I think I have a lot to offer. I have skills and expertise in training for FDA, CPO type things, incident command, response, emergency response training, and actual responder. I think I have skills that I'd like to be able to give back to the town. I have served on several committees in town. I found it very fulfilling. But I think something where I can use what I've learned over the years as far as the skills that would be applied in this job, for instance, would be a good use of my time and would be a benefit to the town, I think, because I have this ability. So it's really that fact that I want to give back to the town. I have time to be able to do it. I had to give up some things while I was still raising my kids until they became teenagers. Not for reasons to get out of the house and live with them. But I am able to respond. I have the ability to respond. I work well under pressure. So I think that anytime there is an incident or something that would call for that kind of thing, I have skills that I can bring to bear and have experience that I've brought to bear in the past for things in my profession.
So what do you see as issues facing the Board of Health?
Oh, well, the Board of Health itself, let's start with FDA. Let's start with things like licensing for restaurants, food things, that sort of thing, FDA standard things. I think the issues on a regular basis include all of that. You know, inspections, regular inspections, you have to go out. If incidents get called in, we have to work with Todd to be able to resolve issues that come up on a regular basis as far as, that's just one aspect of the restaurants, with temporary permits. Issues as far as swimming pools go. I know there's only 2 in town that are, public pools, but I am a CPO and I am able to bring an expertise to that. Small part of it, but it is an issue that matters. The Board of Health can respond to hazardous materials spills, waterway issues, that sort of thing too. Things that can affect public health. This is the sort of thing that I've been trained to do, have done, and have responded to in the past. So I think the issues are not just the everyday things that go on, but also the incidences that come up that need an instant response or an answer or coordination to work with. And that includes all of these different things that affect the public health itself. So it's not just the everyday mundane stuff. I could be called out, I would assume I would be able to be called out if something was necessary at a moment's notice. I have the ability of doing that, my schedule allows that as well.
Okay, I don't know, there's a repeat of what you answered about past graduates. As indicated in the job description for the position, is responsible as a member of the board to provide leadership, policy direction to the board, health staff. Describe your leadership philosophy, and how this philosophy will inform your approach in addressing these issues that face the board.
I have been an incident commander for several responses. For instance, we have had several collisions, fatalities, major operating rule violation, derailment type things that involve immediate response from Amtrak management. And I have been a first management responder on scene, coordinating with local responders, and also the train crews. The train crews are the first ones on scene to any given incident. And now I need to be able to coordinate amongst the initial responders, which are the train crew, the train conductor, which is the initial incident commander, and also the locals that show up that do not know the railroad jargon and or the expertise. So I have to be the liaison between them. What that does is provide the leadership to be able to coordinate all of this response to take care of the passengers, of which there can be hundreds. The train crew, which has now gone through a traumatic event, and they need to be taken care of. And coordinating the train traffic, making sure everything else is stopped, the overhead catenary electrification, make sure that nobody's gonna get hurt with all of these things, so coordinating the safety aspect of it as well. Then when other departments come in, like engineering, transportation, I coordinate them with the locals, with the train crew. And then my job is to get the train crew to a place of safety to be able to get them away from the incident. So my leadership abilities come from being able to coordinate all that as an incident commander. I'm also a level 4 incident responder, which means that at a moment's notice I can go anywhere around the country and coordinate response to, I'm sure you've heard the East Palestine, Ohio train accident that happened. If an Amtrak train had been involved on an adjacent track, for instance, I would be called out to go to that to help coordinate the response to that sort of thing. So.
Do you have any experience working for a board and or preparing agendas, meeting minutes, and documents for review?
Oh, sure. Do you mean like a government board or a nonprofit board or volunteer?
Any kind of board. Preparing minutes, agendas.
Yes, as a matter of fact. I have been a member of the Board of Deacons for the Rehoboth Congregational Church. I have done minutes for them. I have been secretary for them. I am the past president of a disc golf club at Borderland State Park. It is a large organization, but I put in the course, coordinate the course for the president of that. Also, as that, and we also do minutes a lot of times in the secretary's now. I've prepared agendas, established work days, established construction days, coordinated amongst the TCR and the park and the volunteers. Let's see, I have taken minutes when I was on the CPC years ago. Somebody, if minutes needed to be taken, just like jump right in. It's another thing I can do. If something needs to happen, I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. Fine. That sort of thing. I'm flexible. So those are, there are others. Again, it's.
No, thank you.
Is that the question you asked? You want for?
Go, we're up to 6. Sorry, I might have gone out of order.
Yeah, what do you want for?
Okay, sorry, my fault.
That's fine. You looking for?
Sure.
I know it's late, having been on that side of the table for other things too, it's interesting.
I think, yeah, I would pause on an answer. I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
Please tell us about yourself, your education, your work experience, how you feel this has prepared you for the position as member of the Board of Health and Conduct.
I have a bachelor's degree from Johnson & Wales University in business management. My work experience that prepares me for this is I was a rail traffic controller / movement director / assistant chief train dispatcher / manager of train operations in the Amtrak's control center in Boston. Before that I was with Conrail, then I was with Amtrak. My relevant experience here is that as being in charge of the office in Boston, I would have to coordinate the communication responses. If a train had an emergency or situation, medical issues were quite common, I would have to be the one to coordinate the communications with the local responders. And again, from that point of view, getting everybody out to where the commanders would be in the field. After I did that, I became an instructor, a trainer. I was a senior analyst of operating practices, which is a training rules and regulations for regulatory compliance for locomotive engineers, rail traffic controllers, and train dispatchers, train conductors, engineering department people. I also am on the committee, the Northeast Operating Rules Advisory Committee. It comes up with road rules for 52 different roads in the Northeast to comply with federal regulations. In addition, specific to the board, I instruct on emergency preparedness, passing train emergency preparedness, local emergency preparedness for responders to like stations. If we have an incident, any kind of an incident, I do training on that. If we have a trespasser strike, unfortunate but true, if we have any kind of fatality issues, I have trained folks as to who to call and what to do when we get responders out to take care of that situation, the folks to call, and coordinations to be made. And I think, let's see what else. So I've coordinated the response, I've responded many times to incidences, fatalities, many very bad things that require coordination. I also I've been trained on FDA inspections and procedures because we do have food service on board the trains. So there is a wide range of training that needs to be done for the lead service attendants, conductors and assistant conductors that are responsible for the health and safety of the people on board the train and the quality of food and make sure that that's all standardized. Because we have FDA inspectors that come on and take a look at things. So we need to train folks in all of that information as well. So that's another aspect of what I do that I'm able to bring to the table for this.
I think we kind of touched upon this, but do you have any, you obviously have management experience, but do you have any budgeting experience that's all involved in this?
Yeah, as far as, I'm involved in budgeting experience right now. I am in charge of the training department in Boston. So we do have to make sure that we have a budget set up for supplies, training supplies, office supplies. We don't work directly on, I have 3 other instructors, or 2 other instructors right now. I don't work directly on their payroll, but I am involved in interviewing and that sort of thing. But yeah, we do office budgeting, absolutely.
Next. Oh, sorry, sir. Please describe any past experience you've had working with local boards out here in Massachusetts, not the public health.
Working with, well, I think the only experience I have with the Board of Health in particular would have been, I am currently the CPO for the Papa Squash Community Club, so I work hand in glove with Todd for the inspections for the pool. And so I like to maintain a very top standard, and I think I've worked well with them. So I have a good working relationship with Todd in particular. Prior to Todd, before you had an agent, I would work with folks that would come out to inspect, like Tom Irish, for instance, would come out to inspect occasionally prior to having an agent. So that is my experience of having worked with the board. I think I've meshed it all, because I understand what the board is there for. I appreciate it, that's why I'm here, because I really appreciate the work they do, looking out for the public health. So on the receiving end of that, I've never looked at an inspection as one of these, oh God, there's an inspection coming up. I've always looked at it as an opportunity for, listen, I want the pool to be good. The inspection is bringing in concerns. I want to make sure the concerns are taken care of.
Do you have any experience with Title V and septic systems? If you hold any previous licenses as an inspector or installer?
That I do not, but I have had a Title V done when I built my house. So that was an interesting perk experience, a perk 2 well, and that sort of thing. So on a very limited basis, yes, I have gone through a Title V experience, but I don't have any certification.
Neither do I.
This decision requires fair and unbiased advocacy of the Board of Health, statutes, regulations, policies, and town bylaws. Enforcement may become a problem for some restaurants, homeowners, businesses, etc. What skills do you have that you'd be able to effectively deal with residents who do not agree with you?
This one is right in my wheelhouse. Not only I'm on the committee that makes the rules that comply with federal regulations, the 49 CFR, and things that apply to the railroads. We also do audits and enforcements. So when we have, during the training, for instance, we do not tolerate any variation in absolute application of the rules. They're there for a reason. We say that the rule book is written in blood. All right, now that might be an extreme statement when you think about it. On the other hand, when you think about the railroad, it is quite apt. So I take it seriously. When somebody decides to flout a rule or a regulation, there is a rule or a regulation in place for a reason. So I don't vary on that. I am very solid when I think about the laws, rules, regulations, whatever the field is going to be, I'm going to apply my standards to this the same way I apply it to the railroad and transportation when we're talking about the traveling public. It's going to be the same thing. I don't have a varying degree of standards on this sort of thing.
Although extremely rare, individuals appointed as Board of Health members must make a commitment to be available for emergencies and other circumstances that require their prompt attention. Do you feel that there's enough flexibility in your schedule to meet this commitment? I think you kind of touched on that.
I make my schedule, and I also have an emergency go bag in the truck for, personal protective equipment and everything else for, response, so absolutely, that's what I do.
There are many facets of the public health that are outlined in the job description that provide basic understanding of food preparation, public health, emergency preparation, community sanitation, minimum housing standards, animal control, stormwater, landfill management, swimming pools, and septic systems. Please describe any experience, training, or certifications that you may hold or have held in the past.
I am certified to instruct FDA standards for, like I mentioned before, for onboard stuff. And not just an ongoing certification qualification, it's an internal thing. I don't have external, like FDA things, which I would be able to get, and I know it's part of the, what I need to do if I was on the board, I'll be able to get it in short order. So you have that. Let's see, any other outside certification? Well, the CPO, Certified Pool Operator. That's another thing you'll be able to bring to the table for this too. Internal instruction, well, I know that part of it was the incident command structure, ICS, and the NIMS structure. That's, again, on a level 4, for what that means is in response to anything. So I have full certification on the incident response team for Amtrak, so that is there. I have responded to things that boards of health have had also that follow up on. When we're talking about fatalities and fuel spills and chemical spills and these sorts of things that get out there, boards of health, and local boards have to come out and want to know what's going on. So that's kind of where my expertise lays in that. Anything else, I have a quick study on things. I've had to be because there's a wide ranging amount of things I need to know from my position. Different rule books, regulations, name it, I've been able to do it. So anything that needs to be done, I'm able to do a quick study, come right up and speak for anything else that I don't know about.
As indicated in the job description, the position is responsible for as a three-person board to the Board of Health staff. Describe your leadership philosophy and how this philosophy would inform your approach in addressing issues that face the Board of Health.
Teamwork, you have to have collaboration to begin with, but you do need to have somebody that's gonna take the lead on any given issue. But the thing is, it can't be one person doing everything all the time. You need to be able to collaborate well. And this is one of those things that, again, bring it back to what I do for a living. When we come up with standards, operating standards, rules, procedures, it is a big collaborative effort, usually led by somebody, and I've led a number of these, where we see an issue, you have to come up with ideas for solutions, you need to follow it through, and then somebody needs to be able to pull the trigger and go, yes, this is what we're going to do. So it's a guided collaboration. There has to be somebody leading it, but it has to be a teamwork and collaboration, bringing everybody's opinions into it.
Thank you. It was the repeat ones. 12 and 14 are repeats.
Right. So then 14 instead of 12.
No, we already asked 12, and we have 14.
Right, I'm trying to skip over 12.
We just skipped over because it's a repeat question from the first page.
12 and 14. We'll pick one.
We already asked both of them.
Okay.
So the last one is 12. The bottom, this is the last one.
Oh, which 12? Okay, 12. Do you have any questions for us?
Okay, a few, as it were. How many people, well, it's one meeting a month normally, right? All right, and of course, meetings, there can be additional special meetings depending on situations and that sort of thing, that's like.
If you want.
Just out of curiosity, how often does that sort of thing happen? Again, I'm very flexible, I can make just about anything, but I'm just curious, how often special meetings or special types of things come up on a given basis?
Peter, could you answer that? I mean, I know we've
Well,
had,
right now, you should be meeting monthly.
since I've been on board, we've had many special meetings.
Right. I would say at the beginning, with the board being reorganized and a new health agent and other things that are happening, I would guess you're gonna meet 3 times a month.
Okay.
I know Paul and Patrick do a lot more than that right now.
Right.
But once the board is established, I would say you'd have your normal once a month meeting, and that's the way it should be.
Right.
But you'd be meeting 2 or 3 other times until that happens.
Gotcha. I guess that leads me to the next question. What is the state of the board right now? Being that you're meeting 3 times a month and quite often, how you guys doing?
We're in the middle of restructuring.
Okay. What's it, just what's involved in the restructuring?
Just positions, how everything's happening, how the permit processes, and we're overcoming a lot of change.
Okay. I'm used to change, that's kind of thing I can certainly be able to help with and that sort of thing, I'll be able to bring that to the table. Be able to jump in with both feet if I get selected. All right, I think that's it for the moment. I do have, I've been able to read through the description and whatnot, and I'm confident I'd be able, my learning curve would be short, but I'd be able to take on whatever needs to be taken on. And I also am able to get volunteered for things and volunteer for things. But I don't have any other questions at the moment.
No, I don't have any questions.
Actually, as I look at your resume, I noticed that you've had a working relationship with the highway superintendent. I was curious if that experience with any other boards or departments, in particular fire, Chief McKee.
No, I don't have anything along those lines. I am thinking about actually becoming part of the town's emergency management team at some point as well. But I don't have any relationship with the fire department. And Tom is also more of a bit of a personal relationship. I've known him for years. So it's more of a character type thing, but I haven't done anything with the highway department itself.
See, one of the things that's really important to me
Yes.
is that the individual who comes on board, one, fills the needs that the other members don't bring to the board. We're pretty solid in the health field.
Mhm.
Ms. Mello, Pat, both have a very strong background.
Right.
Buildings, Title V, Paul has a good understanding of. But you've mentioned a couple of other areas that you have a strength, and that complements the other members, and that's what I'm looking for, is to build a team.
Yes.
Going along with that is developing a working relationship with, I mentioned 2, but the third individual is obviously the police chief.
Yes.
And one big question that I have is that if we lose our health agent, he handled emergency preparedness.
Yes.
And he had a role underneath the direction of the fire chief. What I'm seeing is how you would go about developing that relationship.
I go right to him and say, this is what I bring to the table, and explain, my ICS qualifications and all the other things, so we can speak the same language and start to develop that relationship. What is it you would need out of me? What can I provide for you? What can you provide for me? How do we work together? And I'd be more than happy to go to the fire chief, to the police chief, to anybody else, to be able to develop these relationships. I have good interpersonal skills to be able to develop this kind of thing, because I've had to do this amongst different interesting departments in my career, and trying to bring people together and being able to diffuse situations as well. But I do pride myself on being able to develop relationships, working relationships. So yes, I think that would be not a problem at all. In fact, I'd enjoy getting to know more about the integration and how this board works with them and what I can bring to the table with them too. So I can assist, outside the box maybe a little bit.
Good answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Richard, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for your time.
You have quite the resume, very impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you. Two more? I sit back there, got my back, I see. Thank you, appreciate it. All right,
Thank you.
have a good evening.
Thank you, too.
Oh, yeah.
Your vehicle works a little better. Thanks again.
That's good.
I don't see him on Zoom.
Oh,
You have to let him in? No, right?
He's in the waiting room.
Is he
It
in
would have
there?
popped up if he's in the waiting room.
Is
He
he?
still has a couple more.
Well, yes, and could we, like we did for,
absolutely.
to the Board of Health, what I said about Shelley, that's gonna be very important in that discussion. The individual that we select can not only work well with you, but also the other cast, the people that are also involved. You know, Tom Ferry, Nancy, even though we're talking about changing stormwater, we're not there yet. How, you know, he brings certain pieces to the table that complement some of the things you guys bring to the table. Ms. Wilson, to some degree, does as well. The one area that and Todd handled was emergency preparedness. And I'm curious, that role got to be smaller as time went on, and some of it was taken out of the hands of the Board of Health. And from my understanding, rightfully so, handled off to Chief McGee, because that was statutory, the way it was supposed to be. I'd be curious to hear from the both of you, what your void, what your needs are, as far as areas. You know, I mentioned, you know, emergency preparedness, serve safe, you know, are those real needs that you have?
I don't know if we lack emergency preparedness. I mean, I'm on the fire department with the chief. I have 16 years as a firefighter. I run emergency preparedness for BI Leahy.
Okay,
So,
these are things I get.
yeah, no, I mean, I have a pretty extensive background in emergency preparedness.
And I don't think that that's a high percentage of the work we do. That, you know, emergency is emergency. We don't see emergencies every day.
Right.
But we see management problems every day.
I wonder how his personality is gonna fit in. That would be my biggest concern.
Like,
Yes,
like,
Just for the record, I'm also NIMS and ICS certified.
No, I don't.
So you know about preparedness, Jim?
Just a little.
he has a bold personality and is strong, and not that that's a negative, I just, question whether it's somebody we want at this time.
I agree with you, Peter, 100%. We need somebody that's, mellow, no offense. And not so strong as far as my way or highway.
Yeah.
We need up to 3 people.
We lost that person, Nicole.
I was mellow and I was mellow. No, I agree.
I have nothing further to say, and while we're waiting for Vincent.
Does anyone have his phone number or?
I do,
He still has a minute.
I have his number.
He might be one of those people.
Oh, is there, no, that isn't, just us.
They tell me.
If you go down to
Which is
participants,
really the screen on these things.
go down to 2 people down the bottom.
There's no other participants, that's why.
off for a minute and we just yell from right back in if he's sleeves on.
Just.
Yeah.
Close that.
Oh, you're a boss, we'll make sure he's okay.
Just click share.
Meeting adjourned.
Yes. Never felt so good to say that last night. Sure.
Just go stop share the red.
They did.
I had to change where I was sitting, I was looking a little pudgy over there.
Did they really?
Yeah.
It's all that baby.
Yeah, I was
Put
just
off
gonna
past
say,
9 months. Sympathy waits a real thing.
It's the camera, not you, Mike.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
No, I used to joke around with my wife when she got cravings for the 99, I would tell her I would go get the 99, but I would go there and then I'd sit down at the bar and I would order a drink. And then when the bartender said, do you want anything to eat? I'd say, let me just finish this drink first, and then I'm gonna put in a to-go order. So at least be able to have a minute to, and then every time she was like, what took you so long? Well, the kitchen was back.
Yeah.
I need to take a breather.
I like this style.
The backed up kitchen only lasts for so, works for so long.
Yeah.
Better take a couch to the plate forward.
Then want the 5-minute rule?
Play war.
You do have to change the time, right?
You need it all.
I did. I'll be good for 7.
They built that project to the finance.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
I missed the.
Hi, yes, are you having trouble getting on?
That's good.
It tells me the meeting does not exist.
He'll be good at that.
Hang on 1 second.
That's okay.
He's in the
Call these other phones.
Yeah, that thing's terrible. I clicked it twice and that's how I got.
Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Alright, copy. In place. Alright. What, alright, hold on, sir.
No, you're right, you just gotta click email, wherever you just were.
And yeah, but I don't have email on this, so I have to go to the properties. Alright. So if you manually type the meeting ID, if you manually type in the meeting ID,
Okay.
it is 893.
Yep.
0121.
Yep.
5860.
Okay, let me try that. And I have the passcode too, so
Okay.
let me just do that. Where it was. And if I had luck with some.
And the meeting passcode should be 459184.
Okay. Let me just go right to the Zoom site and I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, just gonna do that.
I'm sorry about this.
Let's join my meeting ID. Okay.
The phone's working well.
Just do it over the phone.
Zoom doesn't like Zoom.
Zoom was overrated. Yeah. Is your battery good?
Did I read it?
Okay, and then I have that, I just put the passcode in.
Alright, 4590184.
Yeah, I should be right here.
No.
Okay, I think that's it, now I'm in.
There we go, alrighty. Welcome.
All right, I'll hang up on the phone now, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Vincent. We'll get to the questions right away. Why do you want to be a member of the board?
Well, we just wanna make sure he's on.
Can you hear us, Vinny?
Then you gotta mute yourself.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you are.
Can you see me? Oh, okay, there I am.
There you are.
There we go.
All right, let me turn this up a little bit. Okay,
Question one, why would you want to be a member of the Board of Health?
well, since I've been retired, I've been looking for some type of, like a part-time job. I don't want a full-time job. I want something, and I could get something at like a Walmart or something like that. I don't want to do that. I want to do something that's more rewarding. For example, I'm an elections worker at the city of Taunton. I do that because it's something, like I said, it's like kind of like giving back a little bit, and I saw this position online. It intrigued me. I thought it would be very interesting to do. Like I said, I've been a member of the town for a long time and give back a little bit, so.
So what do you see as issues facing the Board of Health?
What issues do I see? Well, again, I don't know. I did do some research on Board of Health issues and like what you look at. My guess would be, you've got a lot of housing that's going in. You're going to have to do a lot of inspections for those types of things. Again, from some of my research, what I've seen, looking at, I don't know what your manpower is. I don't know what your inspectors, how many inspectors that you have. Those are probably some things that would have to be looked at. Those are the things that come to me, off the top of my head.
Okay, as indicated in the job description, this position is responsible for, as a member of three-person board, to provide leadership, policy, direction to the Board of Health staff. Describe your leadership philosophy and how this philosophy would inform your approach in addressing the issues that face the Board of Health.
Leadership to me is an easy thing. You treat people the way that you want to be treated. If you've seen my resume, you know that I've been in some higher level positions, directly below the CEO, directly below, directors, and had people that are below me. It's very simple. You treat people the way that you want to be treated. And if you do that, then you're not going to have an issue.
Great. Please tell us about yourself and your education and work experience. How do you feel that this has prepared you for a position as a member of the Board of Health for the town of Dayton?
My background, again, from my resume is like I'm an electrical engineer by schooling. But many of the positions that I've had, matter of fact, probably most of the positions that I've had to do with different levels of science. So for example, for 12 years, I worked for Brookfield Engineering. And in that position, as I was a product manager for material science product, measuring powder flow measurements. And I was running seminars on viscosity measurement on the viscometer line of products that Brookfield had. I couldn't spell viscometer when I first started at Brookfield. I had to learn it. I had to attend classes. By the time I was done, I was running the seminars. I was managing the seminars. I was the product manager for a powder flow product. Again, I didn't know about material science. My last position as a product manager, I was running a $10 million product line globally, which was in biotech and in health sciences. Again, it was something, and it was robotics. So again, this was just another level of science that I had to learn, attend some classes, attend some, some learning facilities, and learn the product, manage the product on a global basis. And as far as like being on the board of health is concerned, what I did see in the job description are that there are classes that you need to attend, trainings that you need to attend. I have no issue with that. I'm sure that I could learn that, and I'm sure that I could be, a valuable member.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any experience working for a board or preparing agendas, meeting minutes, documentations, or review, et cetera?
I was on the executive committee at LeBaron Hills, private country club, working directly with the ownership and management in that. I also worked when I was working for Brookfield Engineering, I was on the ASTM. I was on a bunch of ASTM committees, and that was test and measurement committees that were involved in various things, which affect probably your life today. I was in like paints and coatings and viscosity measurement and material science, where when you sit on the committee, whatever committee it is, you sit there. I wrote a few of the ASTM methods, the methodologies, things that you would have to follow in order to say, like mine were to measure paints and coatings. So you come up with, you have a form, you fill it out, you have to go through step by step. When you write those types of things, when I was giving seminars at Brookfield, what I would say to them is, you write it as if you were writing to a 5-year-old child. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You need to write every single step, and you cannot miss a step, because if you do, then somebody's going to miss a step and it's not going to be correct. So you have to be very scientific. And once I would write that on the various committees that I was on ASTM, then it has to go for a vote. And then it would probably go through a revision process, and then another vote, and then another revision process, and then another vote, until we finally come up with a final document. Then that would go to the full ASTM committee, that would get approved, and then that would get published.
Do you have any management experience? Well, you said you have management. Do you have any budgeting experience?
Yeah, yes. As a product manager, so in product management, in the last 2 positions that I had, you are like a company inside of your own company. So I was in charge I was in charge of a single product line, but I was in charge of profit and loss. I had to work with the salespeople. I had to work with budgets. I had to develop new products. I had to come up with a path for the product for longevity. I had to work with manufacturing. I had to work with shipping. I had to work with, the customers on the other end. So it's like you're your own little company inside of a company when you're a product manager. That's why it's a high level position. So yeah, as far as like budgets, staying within budgets, profit and loss, I had to account for that. And I had to give presentations on that to, upper management in the company as well.
Okay, please describe any past experience you've had working with the local board of health and/or the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
Working with what again? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
Working with the local board of health and/or the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
I have not. I haven't had that much experience with that. So no, I don't have that much experience with that at all.
Please describe your experience with Title V and septic systems, and if you hold or previously held any licenses such as an inspector or installer.
I don't. I don't have an inspector's license. What I know about Title V is what I mentioned earlier, like with, homes, either newer homes or with, existing homes where you have to come in and you have to have a Title V inspection. It has to be done by, an independent party. And it has to pass, all of the specifications again, which I'm not that familiar with. And then from there, it's decided whether you pass or you fail. And if you fail and you're selling that home, then the seller is responsible for bringing it up to Title V. It's very expensive. That I know, I do know.
Okay. This decision requires fair, unbiased application of the Board of Health statutes, regulations, policies, and town bylaws. Enforcement may become a problem in some restaurants, homeowners, businesses, etc. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents who do not agree with you?
There's this, one of the things when I was on the executive committee at LeBaron Hills was being, as a representative of the membership. And I didn't always agree with what members would tell me, and I didn't always agree with their suggestions, but that wasn't what I was there for. What I was there for was to relay that to upper management, the management, the people that were running the course, and relay those concerns, relay their suggestions. Again, even though I didn't agree with it. As a product manager in my other job, I would have to listen to sometimes the engineering people, software people, hardware people, salespeople. And I wouldn't always agree, again, with what they said, but I would take it and I would have to process it. And ultimately, the decision would come to me as to what to do. But I would take their feedback and I would ask them questions. So it's not just this is what I said type of a thing. It would be like, what do you think? What do you think? What is your opinion on this? And then go from there. And again, try to keep the bias out of it. And I thought I was pretty successful at doing that.
Although extremely rare, individuals appointed as Board of Health members must make a commitment to be available for emergencies and other circumstances that require their prompt attention. Do you feel there's enough flexibility in your schedule to be able to meet this commitment?
Yes, there is. The one thing that I can tell you is that I do spend some time in Florida. That's probably about 3 or 4 months out of the year. Other than that, I'm here in Dayton. That's where I live, right on Maple Street. So certainly, I'm retired. So every day is Saturday for me. But if something comes up and there was something that had to be taken care of, if there was an emergency meeting, or if there was, something that I couldn't Zoom into if I was in Florida, for example, certainly I could do that. That's not an issue.
Okay, there are many facets of the public health that are outlined in the job description that require basic understanding of food preparation, public health emergency preparation, community sanitation, minimum housing standards, animal control, stormwater, landfill management, swimming pools, and septic systems. Please describe any experience, training, or certificates that you may hold or may have held in the past.
I don't have any certificates in any of those arenas.
If you want to ask that one, you're more than welcome.
So we'll break down here.
Yeah, we're all the way down there.
Do you have any questions for us?
I do. The term for this position, what I read in the description, it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, it could be 3 years. Can you tell me how long is the term?
1 year.
1 year.
No, that's for now, right? It'll bring us to 2024, but normally it's a 2-year appointment.
The when the Board of Health split from the Selectmen at the June 2017 town meeting, the article said that the term for Board of Health members is actually 1-year terms. So
Okay,
that will be something we need to clean up and make uniform going forward.
okay. So could you tell me, is like I mentioned, where I'd be in Florida, would that be an issue? Working remotely or doing a Zoom and it's for the time that I would be spending in Florida.
Do you spend it 4 consecutive months, or is it just sporadic throughout the year?
No, it'd be probably like January to like April or so, somewhere in that time frame, February, May.
I honestly don't know.
I mean, if it's just meeting participation, then you can zoom into meetings.
Right.
It would depend on whether or not the other serving board members were available in person for on-site visits or inspections.
Right.
If they were, then I think one member could be MIA for several months.
I only need 2 pages, they're all documents too.
Right. So it just, Matt, I guess to answer your question, this is Jim Ragg, I'm the building official, I'm also an agent for the health department. I
Okay.
guess to answer your question directly, it would depend on the other 2 sitting members, if they were available to sign documents and be available for site visits, then it wouldn't be a concern. If there was a change with their availability, then it may be a problem.
Okay, okay.
I am also thinking for this time, we need to stick to this. Wasn't a proper business university.
Even in ICU, she usually she had to sign something.
When I was looking at the job description, and I saw that the classes that you would have to take in order to be familiar with everything that you people that you were talking about here. Where are those classes? Are they remote classes? Are they in Boston? What is involved with those classes?
They're just the.
Yeah, I think
all online.
I think most of them, with the exception of the soil evaluator, if that's listed, are available remotely. The soil evaluator is the only one that I'm aware of that has field work that's required, and that's only done in Massachusetts.
Okay, so most would be remote. Okay, very good. The one of the questions that I have, I asked this a little bit earlier too, are about inspectors, the health inspectors. And are they, first of all, can you tell me, is it a manpower issue? And secondly, are they typically private, or are they, from the town? Are they contracted? I mean, are they, that type of questions?
So currently we have, well, up until recently, we have a Board of Health agent that can conduct inspections. For the most part, though, certain inspections can be contracted out to a third party.
Okay. So there's only one inspector?
Currently, yes.
Okay, very good. And when will you be making a decision on the board position?
Hopefully as soon as possible. Our goal is to get this third position filled. We want to try to start moving forward, stabilizing a little bit, looking towards the future, and kind of building out priorities of the Board of Health. One of the biggest feelings we have is that we need that third person to kind of make things somewhat even, for lack of better terms, but just to kind of get everything established and move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've, part of the other thing that I saw too in the job description was about manual writing, which I've done. I've written, dozens of technical articles, which you've probably never read. So I have a lot of writing skills. I have very good communication skills. I needed that, for about the 12, 15 years that I was a product manager. So I'm sure that I could help out that way. Presentations, working with Excel and all of that. I can do any and all of that, of course, to help out. So.
You guys have any questions?
Hi, Vincent. My name is Peter Karen. I'm from the Board of Selectmen.
Hi,
How are
Pete.
you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hopefully, we decide tonight for who's going to be the next member of the Board of Health. If not tonight, certainly in the very, very near future. Thank you for applying. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I thank you. I appreciate the consideration. Like I said, I saw the position online. I thought it was very intriguing, very interesting. And something I think that I know that I could do it, and I know that I could be an asset to the town, and and to the board as well.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hull has a question for you.
My name is Leonard Hull of the Board of Selectmen. As Mr. Pacheco mentioned a few minutes ago, there are certain areas of focus of the Board of Health. And he talked about stormwater and Title V and food inspections. And as I look at your resume, you have a science background. And we're pretty strong on the Board of Health in the area of health sciences. But my question to you is, do you have any experience or training in environmental or construction engineering?
I had taken some classes in environmental science when I was in school. And when I was working for Brookfield Engineering, there were some companies that we worked for. We worked a lot with the food industry. I've seen many plants, with the sanitation that's involved with them. So I'm definitely familiar with that. But with environmental science, as far as like fertilizer runoff, that type of pollution, those types of things, I have some experience, with that, classes that I took in school, and also real life experience that I had again with Brookfield, because our instruments were used to test thicknesses of those types of things. So some, not a lot, but some.
Now, during your interview, you mentioned one of your strengths is writing. Have you had any experience writing grants?
Yes. Painful. Yes.
Well, you're honest as well.
More than a few. More than a few, and yeah, painful.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
No, I don't have any
Right,
questions.
thank you. Thank you, Vincent.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Sorry.
No.
Oh, he's out, right?
We need to end the Zoom or?
No, the vote's in public session.
Yes.
What discussion, any discussion, vote? It's not public.
Sure, that's it, what's your thought?
I think here's something to.
Yeah, actually, a point of order. What is the format for voting? Is it like we do with school, it's 5? Or do they make a recommendation to us and then we vote separately?
So we do, so our policy says that the recommendation will come from the board with the vacancy, and that recommendation will go to the selectmen.
Okay. Would you like to make a recommendation?
Yeah.
In this form of the.
Well, after reviewing all the candidates, I think that, let me try to say it right. Sorry. after reviewing all the candidates and listening to everybody, I think Joanne might have the best to give. I do like the fact that Vincent's done, grants before. My concern is the remote logins and the not being here 4 months out of the year is my concern. I think Joanne would probably mesh better coming in with us, as a personality type thing. And that's where I would recommend my
So
thoughts.
that's your motion?
Well, that's what my thoughts are, yeah.
Well, it's a motion, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll second the motion. Vote,
Okay,
aye.
do you have any?
Okay, so the Board of Health is gonna recommend to the Selectmen to appoint Joanne.
Do you guys have any discussion?
No.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Board of Health in appointing Joanne Wilson as the third commissioner to the board.
Okay.
I'll
Is there a
second
second?
that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mrs. Mello?
Aye.
And Peter Karen is an aye. All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Great job. Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
unless we have any further business, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the Board of Selectmen segment of this meeting.
I'll second that.
all those in favor, Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mrs. Mello?
Aye.
And Peter Karen is an aye. Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn the Board of Health version of this meeting.
I second the motion.
I'm an aye.
Aye. Done.
Meeting adjourned.
7:32.
Excellent.
Meeting adjourned 7:30.
Like you said, third time's a charm.
Well,
Well, that does show a lot there. Shows you